Just on that key takeaway number 2 that we touched on, don't be sold the old. This is the traditional way that fire curtains were designed, and many manufacturers on the market today are still using this design, what you can see in the middle. So if you cut through one of the guide rails, which the fabric will slide down each side of the opening, the fabric is retained using a nut and a bolt or a popper. This is the traditional way of doing fire curtains, and that's great in a laboratory setting where you can set everything up perfectly. The trouble is out on site where they may be installed slightly less perfectly, and also with fabric not being a rigid material, it will move and wander. The bolt will, and what we see regularly, which gives the headaches, is this bolt will actually be dragged into the aperture, and metal on metal jams. Also with the nut and bolt and the popper, you've got penetration of the fabric, which is a weakness. And you can imagine if I put a hole in my shirt or what have you, it's only a matter of time before you'll end up with a rip or a tear, and you can see that with the image on the left. What you've also got with this design, this old design, is the nuts and bolts or the poppers. They're only every, say, 500mm or 200mm, so you've actually got gaps in between those retention bolts. What this has accentuated, this problem with the gaps, is when the fabric tears and that popper will fall away. And as I say, we see this on a weekly basis around the UK. We realised some 5 years ago as a company that if fire curtains were to realise their true potential, we needed to overcome these 3 main headaches. Otherwise, people, architects and building owners and clients would keep using them as a product last resort. So we set 2, and after about 12 months of many iterations, we'll come back to that in a minute, we came up with this guide design, which we refer to it as the new design, but it's actually quite old now. It's 5 years, as I say, in the making. It's tested and third-party certified. And it's been referred to, we've had it at some of the events this year and earlier, where some people, their words, not ours, it's genius. So it's people that are familiar with fire curtains and have the problems with them jamming and tearing, they see this design and it answers all those issues. So we've got a continuous retention pole in the side guide. We've not got any of that puncturing of the fabric. We've not got the gaps in between the retention points. And we've got no travelling components, fasteners, which can jam into the guide. So it really does solve all those headaches. We'll just go back to the old design just so you can see it. But it's that's what you'll see traditionally. And this is what we've come up with, say, some years ago now. And we just realised these headaches needed to be overcome if it was worth investing heavily, which we have done subsequently, in the product and in the market. And we see massive potential and in the applications that these can be used in. I'm just going to go back quickly to another feature of the old design that a lot use in the UK is, and you'll see on the where it points to less than 5 minutes in a fire, that's pointing to the smoke seals. So a lot of fire curtains are also tested for smoke performance, and the test is 1634 Part 3, which is a cold smoke test. We're actually being asked by BSI to join some of the national committees because they've noticed some of the work we've been doing around tests and standards, and we're pushing for higher performance. We actually believe the smoke test should be a hot smoke test. Obviously in a fire you do get some cold smoke, but the biggest killer and the biggest cause of damage and harm to people and property is hot smoke and gases, and the current test, 1634 Part 3, only tests for cold. That's why you'll see this design on the market with the cold smoke seal. So that smoke seal works. It's a polypropylene filament strip. It's used on fire doors. On a fire door it is used in conjunction with an intumescent strip. So on a fire door, you'll have the cold smoke seal, which will melt at about 170 degrees C. And then the intumescent strip will take over at 180. So you've got pretty much contiguous protection from smoke. The trouble is on a fire curtain, you can't have an intumescent strip because the problem is if that intumescent strip activates, it then prevents deployment and you've not got the fire barrier at all. So manufacturers and ourselves, up to 5 years ago, use these cold smoke seals. Some use even draft excluders, but they don't last. If you look on the graph there, that's the heat curve, which is the test in 1363, which is the conditions for the fire test, which all fire tests lean on basically. And what you can see is after 5 minutes, the temperature's 576, I think it is, degrees C. Those cold smoke seals have long since gone, and we're talking of only minutes into a test of a product that's designed to last for an hour or two. So what we've done, another feature, as you can see there, where we say fire-resistant components for smoke control, we've actually used the fire-resistant fabric that is tested to 1000 degrees C, and we've used that to achieve the smoke control as well. And again, this is all third-party tested and certified. So we're moving on. We're not waiting for the standard to be revised. That will happen, and we're pushing for that, and we will be part of that.